Hello everybody, this is Pitch Black here, and welcome to a Doctor Who reaction in which I basically going to be reacting to the most recent series of Doctor Who as a whole, really, the entire first half, I guess you'd say, if we're up to that point. Just checking. We're actually 7 episodes through the series now, and I haven't been reacting to the series simply because it's not really my thing to do Series 10 videos, but new series videos on the new series at this point in time, but I did want to talk about Oxygen Extremis, Pyramid at the End of the World, and the Lie of the Land, as it's called, which is the next week's episode, mainly because I felt like this has been a really interesting story arc so far. But just to give you a bit of context, I haven't thought much of Series 10 so far, to be honest. I really haven't. Going through the sort of episode listing on this website, which I think might be TARDIS Wiki, Return of Doctor Mysterio, which doesn't really count. That wasn't that good. Very corny, very cheesy, just rubbish in my opinion. Not a good Christmas special. Pilot, very average episode. Smile, once again, average episode. Finis, I haven't actually gotten around to watching yet. Knock Knock, one of the weakest episodes probably the weakest episode from this series so far. Absolutely abysmal. Had a very good sort of interesting sort of opening to it, but at the like 20-minute mark, it didn't really seem like it knew how to continue, and by that I mean it tried to end itself by any means possible with making contextual sense to the story arc. Now this is where we get to the really interesting stuff. Oxygen Extremis, the Pyramid at the End of the World, the Lie of the Land. Again, admittedly, I didn't think much of this episode. Again, it's another 5 out of 10 episode like Smile and the Pilot. However, it did have some really good concepts to it, and I did think it had a really good atmosphere, as well as the Doctor Blind was a fantastic direction for the series to go in. Extremis, which was last week's episode, I personally thought that was a great episode, another 8 out of 10 episode. Just heard some guy complaining about how it was too convoluted. Fuck you, I guess, because the best examples of new series, I mean, take a look at Heaven Sent and Turn Left, one of my favourite Doctor Who stories of all time. Extremis, 8 out of 10, absolutely fantastic. It made good use of the sonic sunglasses and Nardal eventually. At this point in the series is starting to get quite good in my opinion, because before that, the previous 5 episodes before Extremis weren't that good. 3 average episodes, no, 2 average episodes, 1 terrible episode. No, actually, let's have a think here. Yeah, 3 average episodes, 1 terrible episode, and 1 episode I don't know because I haven't gone around to watching it yet because I was out on the original transmission. This I thought was a really good story overall, and it's the start of where the series is getting really, really good in my opinion. 8 out of 10 episode. And then the Pyramid at the End of the World, I thought Oxygen Extremis and the Pyramid at the End of the World were a 3-parter. But no, it turns out Oxygen Extremis, the Pyramid of the End of the World, and the Lie of the Land is actually a 4-parter, which is very interesting, as Oxygen sort of started up with the blindness of the Doctor, and then that sort of led into Extremis, the Pyramid of the End of the World, and the Lie of the Land. But the Pyramid of the World, at the End of the World, is the episode that just transmitted. All right episode. Actually, it was actually very good. What am I saying? I don't think it was as good as Extremis, but I did personally like it a lot. I would give it about a 7. I thought it was quite a good episode. And I am just looking forward to the Lie of the Land. Overall, I just haven't been thinking much of series 10 so far, but it's starting to pick up eventually. It's starting to pick up because I thought Extremis was good, and I thought the Pyramid at the End of the World was good, and I'm really looking forward to next week's story, The Lie of the Land. And I would personally give Pyramid at the End of the World, interestingly enough, a 7 out of 10, because it's the 7th episode of the series, interestingly enough. But either way, Pyramid at the End of the World and the sort of four-parter as it is so far, Oxygen, Extremis, The Pyramid at the End of the World, and The Lie of the Land, is a really good four-parter so far, and it's shaping up to really be really good. I mean, Oxygen, not the best episode, 5 out of 10, but then we've got an 8 and a 7 rating, and a 587, then question mark for the end of the Lie of the Land, as it hasn't been transmitted yet. That's pretty good so far for a four-parter. 1 5 out of 10 episode, 1 8 out of 10 episode, and 1 7 out of 10 episode. I mean, if you ask me, that's pretty good. And Missy being in the vault, it just doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. Missy being in the vault, just whatever. I don't fucking care. I'm just not bothered by that in the slightest, and I don't even get why people are bothered. Because I mean, she was going to return in this series anyway, and it would only make sense if she was in the vault, as because I mean, they're building, because Cybermen 2-parter at the end of this series is going to feature both incarnations of the Master, the John Sim Master and the Missy Master. So arc in series 3, the planets going missing in series 4, the time cracks in series 5. Oh no, was that series 6? Well, I think series 6 was just a Moffat being a wanker as the over arc. But overall, I'm not bothered about Missy being in the vault. I mean, it was sort of predictable for me, and they always have sort of overriding arcs in this series, and most of the time that sort of lead into the finale, like the Bad Wolf arc, for instance. So part of that is Oxygen, Extremis, The Pyramid at the End of the World, and The Lie of the Land is actually shaping up to be a hasn't been transmitted. So as a four-parter so far of Oxygen, Extremis, Pyramid, and Lie, I would give it a 7 so far, which I think is a very fair rating, and I am looking forward to next week's episode, and it does look like it's going to be a very interesting episode, particularly with that very final shot of the next time trailer, which acts as sort of another cliffhanger to the series, or another cliffhanger to the episode with the Doctor being shot by whoever that was. And but yeah, so far very good four-parter, and when I get the DVD, I will probably revisit this four-parter, as it has been very interesting. I mean, Oxygen wasn't unbearable; it was just average. But yeah, so far, it's as a series, it's not the best series so far, in my opinion. If you count Return of Mysterio, that's Extremis and Pyramid are pretty good. stream's not stopping. Is it going to stop? And it failed to stop broadcast. Take two. Is this thing taking the piss? It's not stopping the broadcast. Am I just going to be broadcasting? Right, and take three of stopping the live stream.